Okay, cool. Welcome, Tariq. How you doing?
Hey, pretty good, man. Thank you. How are you doing?
Perfect. Awesome. So, tell about the audience about yourself. Tell about what are you doing. So you have the academy. So how did you start the academy? So go with it.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Well, first of all, good day to all of our listeners. My name is Tariq Tensuan. The academy's name is Limitless PH Trading Academy. So let me just start by giving you a little bit of a story about myself.
Sure.
Well, it's not like I was born to be a trader, you know what I mean? I was born a trader, you know what I mean? I had a lot of different experiences in life. I mean, early experiences in life before I found my calling. And so I'm just a regular, Filipino guy who studied economics. And to cut the whole story short, I had a few different kinds of small businesses here and there. Did a
What
little bit
kind?
of a, huh?
What kind?
I used to have a bar before. So
A
it's
bar.
a
Okay.
restaurant, bar and restaurant. Um, and a couple of small things, smaller other things. And I did enter corporate job as well. I did enter the corporate ladder for a while till I went to Saudi Arabia. So, the history of me starting trading is, it goes back to when I flew to Saudi Arabia in 2014 for a job opportunity. So I had a job there for a couple of years. And that's actually, because if you've been to Saudi or for, any of you listeners right now, I mean, right now it's a lot different. But when I was in Saudi Arabia back then, it was a lot stricter. As we all know, Saudi Arabia is one of the stricter countries, being it a Muslim country and very conservative. So there's not a lot of things that you can do on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Like you can't just
Mm.
go out and go to the mall or have some drinks at the bar or whatever, right? Because
Yeah.
it was really strict. The only thing I could do there, basically, as a Filipino individual, is play basketball with my guys, and pretty much that's it. Or maybe you're gonna, do some online gaming or whatever after work, right? I'm talking about like your activities, extracurricular activities, or hobbies that you can do, right? So I devoted a lot of time. Like I had a lot of extra time when I come back from work, when I come back from office. I sit at my table, read a couple of stuff, and basically the idea came back to me because like in economics we talk about trading a lot, but it's all mainly focused on stock trading. But there's also, like, I remember um I had a specific study about currency trading back then. But anyway, so I started learning how to trade again when I was there, because like I said, there's a lot of extra time after work. So I devoted that to learning trading, basically. And I had the interest since the beginning. It's not like it's a new thing. I just really had the interest in trading.
Hmm.
And yeah, pretty much, for the past couple of years that I was working there, I started trading. I went back to the Philippines. By then, I already have a live account. Well, when I was trading in the Middle East, I used to only have like a couple of like demo accounts here and there. And I went back to the Philippines.
You
Um,
start. Just a question there. You started
yes, sir.
trading by yourself or within the organization, in the
A good
corporate?
question. It was by myself. And this
By
is actually
yourself.
part of the
With the
reason
demo
why I have
accounts. So first of
with
all,
demo
you
accounts.
started with demo accounts, couple maybe, and then transition like couple of years, start trading by yourself with real money.
Yes. So
Totally.
this is actually going to be like I'm going to tell you about it later, but it's actually one of the reasons why I started Limitless PH. It's because it's this industry, especially here in the Philippines. It's kind of because we're living in a country where it's like third world, right? And
Yeah.
most of the time we're very delayed in terms of like the things that other Western countries do, like specific, like for specifically we're behind in terms of financial markets. So like these kind of things are very new here in the Philippines. So it's not like you can just go online. I mean, especially back in the days, it was not like you can just go online and find a community you can join that does trading to begin with. So yeah, I mean, again, to answer your question, I started by myself. I'm a self-taught trader. I had to learn everything by myself, retail concepts and a little bit of institutional concepts, and yeah, it was mostly me.
When you when you say institutional concepts, what concepts exactly?
Well, it's just basic. I know it's kind of like it's kind of like a big word to use, and it's a very strong word to
Yeah,
say
for
when you're
example,
talking about trading,
you
right?
mean strategies specifically, or maybe
Not specific strategies, but
theory
concept,
more?
the concept of like who is in control of the market, right? Because back in like 10 years ago, you wouldn't be able to find that information available online, right? So now we
Yeah,
hear a
it's
lot of like these SMC, concepts and different types of like I said, institutional concepts that you'd find they branding it differently right now, but it's all basically the same thing. But back then, the only thing that you will find online is babypips.com. And babypips.com,
mm,
yes, you would get a lot of information there, but it's all retail concepts, right? It's all stock retail concepts, actually. It's not even Forex trading.
yeah. So then you started the academy. So after a couple of years of trading, I guess, right?
So I did start my live account back in the Philippines. That was 2017. And a year later, like what I was saying, like, this is kind of like connected to how I got started. A year later, I was looking for like a community of people that I can join, like-minded individuals, traders, maybe newbie and advanced traders that I can join the community on and learn from them and stuff like that. But there wasn't really like any sort of community available in the Philippines like 10 years ago, right? Or a couple of years ago. So I started my own community. That's what I did. Limitless PH. It's basically it's not initially meant to be a trading academy. It just evolved to be that way, but it was like an community. You'll find our Limitless PH community on Facebook. Actually, we still have the group there. It's meant to be like a community of Filipino traders that before there's no Telegram. There was no Telegram, no Discord or anything like that. So we were trying to connect to each other using Facebook groups, right? So that's what we did. And yeah, like I said, it's just a community. It started as a community. I wanted to reach out to more Filipinos that would like to, because there's a lot of scam here in the Philippines. By the way, there's a lot of scam panis. I call them like scam movements, which
Mm.
fake investment opportunities, right? So that's what I was trying to help my fellow Filipinos avoid. That's why I started the community, learn about financial markets in general, and learn about Forex trading to be specific. And the rest is history.
And what were the biggest challenges you faced, like in establishing a growing community? Because Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
everybody kind of used it, but still, to grow a successful community through Facebook, I mean, how?
Good question. So obviously, there's a lot of challenges, right? I mean, to begin with, there's a lot of early challenges, including building trust in the environment, where, like I said, many had fallen victim to the scams, right? So it's hard to because people are always going to be like doubtful of your intentions, right? So it's hard to build it. I mean, right now, obviously, I already built my name in the industry, and people already know me here in the Philippines and internationally. But it, try to think of it in a way that I was just starting on day one and trying to find some people who would be. I'm not even asking them to pay anything anyway. It's just trying to build a community, right? So obviously, there's a lot of issues there in terms of building the trust, right? As someone who's just trying to start this, and especially the ones that I was trying to save were the ones who have fallen victim to the scam movements in the Philippines. So that was a major challenge. Um, After that, of course, trying to keep that sort of community, trying to keep your because you're gonna have to build a name for it, right? It's very it's actually crucial that you have some sort of a you know trustworthiness with the community that you're trying to build or you're trying to keep. So but yeah, basically it all started with just me and a couple of guys, and again, the moving forward, right now we are in our sixth year. So like I said, community started in 2018. By late of that year, it was like September of 2018, I officially built Limitless PH Trading Academy as a platform for those newbies, all newbies and maybe experienced traders alike, to come together and, like I said, try to learn from each other. And the business model that eventually came about with Limitless PH is that, because, like I told you, I'm not asking for any payment. There's like no tuition fee
Yeah,
in
you
my
get
community,
sponsorship
in my
from
academy.
other organizations to pay you, like
Yes.
for
So
using
that's what
their
I've been doing.
products.
That's what I've been doing since like 2019, right? I've been partnering with legitimate, trustworthy brokers. And basically, I give them, of course, because I teach traders to trade. After you teach them to trade, what's going to be the next step? Of course, they're going to have a broker where they can trade with. So it was just a match made in heaven, if you know what I mean. Um, that an education company and a broker would have a mutual agreement or partnership, which each separate entity can benefit each other.
Got it. So about trading then, how do you balance risk and reward in your trades? Let's say so you've been trading for a couple of years, right? So you started like in 2000 and what year?
2017.
2018 you started the community, and 2015, 14, something like that.
Well, I
Or you
started
prior to
trading
this?
live trading in 2017, but I was before that I
17.
was trading like demo accounts.
Okay, cool. So how do you balance risk and reward?
Well,
Let's
it
say
really just
from
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
statistics point of view, like if I want to win, well, great. I'm gonna like risk have risk and reward ratio to like 2 to 1. Example, if I'm can't afford to lose X amount of money. So what's your approach to that, for example?
I'm gonna give you more of like a general overview
Sure.
answer in this. But it's more about the philosophy, right? So it's more about the philosophy in finding balance. And for me, it's all about conservative approach, because different traders have different, obviously, expectations. But in my community, if you go through my classes, what I always talk about is the proper setting of proper expectations, right? So you find a lot of traders who are brainwashed by these power marketing movements from
Gurus.
different brokers, right? Thinking, people posting Rolex and sports
Yeah.
car in their Instagrams and stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, for me, it's just setting a different vibe and setting a different expectations for traders. Like, you see a lot of traders, and you're familiar with this, right? You talk to a lot of traders, a lot of them would say, hey, I want to make, they're not even talking about the percentage, like people would be like, hey, I want to make $2,000 a month, or maybe I want to make $100 a day. And then you ask them, so how much would you start with? Maybe $500, right? So I'm like, hey, you want to make 20% per day? Is that really what, is that really something that anybody can do? Because if you can do that, I'd work for you. If you can do that and you have a strategy to make consistently 20% per day, then I'll be with you. You know what I mean, right? So um it's more of like setting the proper expectation. So what I do set is being conservatism, right? Conservativity. Um and this applies to my manual trading strategies and the automated trading. Um, okay, so first of all, for my manual trading strategies, I have like 1 to 1, 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio most of the time. Um, I've There's been some times where, depending on the season, if there's a lot more volume, and then one of my strategies would give me 1 to 3 risk to reward, then I would do that. Right. Um, Obviously, I backtest all of it. It's very important that you have to backtest not only your strategy, backtest your risk management. That's very important. That's something that most traders fail to do. But anyway, so like I said,
By the way, a question: you backtested manually? So you got back. So you
yes,
go back to the history and you just look for.
yes. So
I mean, to
there's a way you
backtest
can.
it manually, it's pretty harsh. I mean, it depends how far you go. How do you do
Well,
this? How do you do
because
this, by the way?
there's a way you can automate the system, the risk management system, right? But I've
Yeah.
only figured that out, few years ago. But when I was, like I've always been used to like back testing a strategy along with the risk management, and I do it manually
How
because
do you do this, by the way?
I see more. I see more. Well, if I backtest my strategy to begin with, my strategies, most of them cannot be automated. There's only one or two strategies that I have that's automated, the Royal Mint and another one.
So
But most of my
they're
strategies,
not based on indicators at all. So
they're not based on it. Well, indicators are part of it, but they're just confluence. It's not like the whole thing.
Mhm.
So if it's only based on indicators, obviously you can create an algorithm for that. But my strategies, specifically the trend following strategies, it cannot be it cannot be automated. That's why I have to backtest it manually, and I have to backtest the trading, or sorry, the risk management system it comes with.
So you mainly use support and resistance. So you look for them and you mark the levels, and then you use also fundamentals if necessary, and
Well,
therefore you
well,
back.
it's
Or how
always
you?
part of that. Well, let's get we're gonna get into that, right? So, but let's just going back to your question in balancing the risk to reward.
Yeah.
My approach to risk is always conservative. Like I've been telling you guys, I'd rather aim for consistent, steady gains than chase high rewards with high risk. So for me, keeping the drawdown below 5%, and sticking to solid risk to reward system. Maybe I make 2%, 3% a month, but my drawdown is below 5%, or maybe at 5%. That's what I'm after. Lowest risk possible, even with, if it comes with the lowest reward. So again, specifically, like if per trade, it's 1 to 1, 1 to 2 for manual trades. But overall, I only target 2 to 3% per month, and the risk is even lower than that. So, yeah.
God. So the position sizing is as well as so it's suitable for so it suits the risk that you take in every trade. So
Yes,
the
exactly.
position. Okay, got it.
Exactly.
So back to my question: how do you backtest? So, for example, you involve does any fundamental analysis involved in the backtest
Okay,
or not?
let's get into that now. Okay, good question. So on the back testing side, to validate my strategies, right? So I use historical data to simulate scenarios. So you were asking how I do it manually, right? So sometimes I would use a back testing tool. Sometimes I would just even use MT4, and there's a recorded history in MT4, right? You can back test MT5, you can back test for sure, but the back testing tool for MT4 is sort of like you just go back in time, right? You simulate the scenarios that has happened in the past 1 year. The only problem there is that you cannot backtrack. Let's say if your strategy, good thing my strategy is based on daily time frame and H4 time frame mostly. Um, but if you have a strategy that's based on 1 hour time frame or maybe 30-minute time frame, you cannot go back to, there's only like a certain number of prints or bar prints that MT4 can do. So that's kind of like the challenge there, because you can't go back in time like more than a year ago if we're talking about 1 hour time frame, right? But if it's H4 and daily, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So in MT4, because I'm really, really used to MT4.
MetaTrader,
Um,
MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5.
yes, but because there's a difference in MT4 and MT5, right? So MT5, they already do have backtesting what do you call this? Tools. In
But you can use
MT4,
it. But you can use it only if you have like a script.
yes, exactly. But no, there's a backtesting tool you can do in MT5, just like in TradingView, that you can do it manually. The script that you're telling me
Oh,
is the
okay.
MT4 version. So the backtesting in MT4, you have to have a script. But in MT5, you can backtest it in a way like how you do it in a TradingView. You get what I mean?
Okay,
So
so you need only so you need only to describe to the system kind of where do you enter and where do you exit, and simply you just
yeah. So
press
my
play,
manual,
play the backtest, and get the results.
yeah. So my manual trading approach, in backtesting, what I do is, like I said, I go through, like I said, strategy tester. But that is only for a script. Strategy tester and MT4 is only if you have a script, like you mentioned. But mostly what I do is I just go back to the replay, right? So you can actually reprint um history in MT4, and that's exactly how I backtest. And what I do is, okay, yeah, here, yeah, I had to open it up. So in strategy tester, even if you don't have a script, let's say if you just want to test your manual trading strategy, um, you go to a certain, or you create your own expert advisor, right? You create your own EA, even if it's just one MAEA, just so you can reprint everything in the chart, right? And you pick
Yeah.
my model, the model that I use is control points. And okay, so go let's just go back to your question. So what I do is I simulate the scenarios in the past, right? So let's say from a year ago, I want to test a certain strategy, and I'm gonna reprint the bar as low as possible, as low as possible. Um, I'm gonna reprint the bars in the past 1 year for one currency pair, and then I'm gonna test real time the strategies that I have in manual trading. So does that make sense? So say for
Yeah.
example,
How many hours did it
how many hours
take
do I spend?
to? Yeah.
Well, sometimes I do it in like 1 or 2 weeks straight. If I need to
One, two
test
weeks.
a new theory, a new strategy, I'm gonna backtest it for 2 weeks. So I do that every day in every currency pair, and find out which currency pair it's most effective with. Of course, it's different because if you're backtesting, it's different than forward testing. Then, so now after you're backtesting, then you have to do forward testing for at least a few months before you can see that that strategy is effective. Because backtesting is good, but as we all know, the market conditions always changes. So you can't really rely on historical data to predict your future. But most of the time it's the same. But um, there's a lot of scenarios where your strategy won't work just because, like for example, we're recording this November 7th. Just yesterday, Trump won. He's getting back in position. And as traders, obviously, we're all happy about it. Like traders really want Trump to be. I mean, obviously, beside the political point or whatever our views are, investors want Trump, and forex traders we want Trump because we want dollar to be stronger. Well, depending on your bias, right? But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the strategy. So the reason why I'm saying this is because the season will now change. The market conditions will now change. I can guarantee that because there's a different man in position again. There's probably going to be more volatility, like way back in 2016 to 2020 when Trump was in position. There's a lot more volatility. Just one tweet, he's gonna tweet something on Twitter or X, and then the market is gonna go wild, right? Um, so that is something you have to consider. You backtest, but then you have to understand, hey, this strategy may not work now, or maybe I have to do a couple of tweaks, a couple of changes in the parameters, because now the market is going to change condition because Trump is back in position, something like that, right?
And you still look at the fundamentals, for example, the tweets that
Oh, now I have
Trump
to go
saying in
back to it.
the
Now
yeah.
I have to go. It's funny. There's something. There's a meme on going on the internet for the longest time when Trump was in place. You guys can find it in Google. I think it's entitled. It's titled your technical analysis is no match for my tweets, right? But to be honest, to be fair, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like that's what I do sometimes. Like I have to, because Trump. That's one of the reasons why they ban him on Twitter, because he's been tweeting a lot. You know, so that sometimes it has to be a part of your fundamental analysis, especially now that he's back in position. And you might want to have to check his Twitter every now and then. And maybe he posted something against certain countries, and it's gonna affect the dollar or the currency of that country. You know what I mean? So Yeah, I mean it's funny, but yeah, we have to put that back to our approach.
It's going to be an interesting period. I mean, we'll see what's going to happen. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Well, for sure, one
I
thing
have
is for sure.
speculations is going to rise over time, but I have no idea.
Well, we all saw what happened yesterday, right? The S&P 500 broke all time high. You know,
Yeah.
Doge, even Bitcoin broke all time high.
Yeah, 75,
So
right? 75,000.
yes, it went to
Was
75,000. It went to 75,000.
yeah.
So this means that because this is what we call the market. It's what we call the Trump betting. Trump betting is like, you know, the betting markets, the betting countries um are betting on a Trump win, and if that happens, then certain, you know, cryptocurrency more specifically, because Trump kept on talking about cryptocurrency. And you have a lot of, you know, orders there waiting, especially here in Asia. But yeah, so it's obvious that we see that the market is reacting positively to a Trump victory. So you can kind of see what's going to happen in the next couple of months, right? I think it's going to be positive overall for the stock market and the US dollar. So, but even though Trump also mentioned that he wants the US dollar to be down because it's very high valued right now, obviously there's still going to be interest rate decision tomorrow by the Feds. But I really think that mid to long term, US dollar is going to be even stronger. We might see a breakout of USD JPY's high before, and all that other stuff. So US dollar is definitely going to be stronger.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, speculate and everything. So about the automation and everything. So you developed a Royal Mint EA, right? So you were also an automation developer, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You were an automation developer back then.
Oh no, no, not me actually. So let's just be clear. I'm not the one who developed it. I have a programmer who's also
Oh,
here in the
okay.
Philippines. He lives in Cebu, in other part of the Philippines. So yeah, so that's he's actually a previous student of mine. So he went to my classes in 2019, and he's really just, you know, he's a programmer. So he became interested in the idea of automating trading, which I wasn't really thinking of it that way before. But then, you know, it's a long story, but he's the one who developed the whole thing. But we tried to test different, you know, theories, and because like I said, right, it's very hard to automate a system with that would have a lot of confluences. Let's say if you have to include the news. I mean, right now we have AI, but it's still very hard for us to incorporate AI into
Yeah, it's
our trading.
complicated because you need the API
Complicated
to get
API.
yeah.
It's very complicated. So we want to make it simple as possible. So we tested a couple of indicators for the script. But one thing is for sure, the script includes the indicators, oscillators, and moving averages and stuff like that. Um, Plus the risk management is also automated.
And then you scale the system. For example, you distribute the system. Well, you just offer this kind of system to your users, right? In the academy, in
Well,
your community.
okay, yeah. So first of all, can I mention my website here?
Sure.
Okay, so my website is limitlessphtrading.com. It's fine because you guys won't be able to create an account anyway, because you know I'm partnered with ACY Securities, and I'm only representing the Philippines. So if you're not in the Philippines, it's going to be hard for you to do that. But here's the thing.
Really? Why though?
Yes, initially, the Royal Mint is exclusive. We didn't want to. I mean, we're not selling it. You know, I mean, we're not asking
Mm.
anyone to pay it. In fact, my students are not paying anything for that. They're only paying for the VPS. The VPS is like $10 a month or something, right? And that's just it. Everything else is for free. As long as you are, you know, my previous student, went through my courses in my academy, as long as you're part of my community. So right now we have like over 100 users of this Royal Mint. Okay. And I even showed you last time that we joined a trading cup, right? We talked about it last time, right? Remember
Yeah.
that? So to those of you who want to check it out, it's tradingcup.com/signals. Or you can just go trading cup. So when you go there, it's basically a trading competition online. That caters a lot of different traders from different parts of the globe. And this is sponsored and hosted by my broker, ACY Securities. So the goal is to find good traders and be able to copy them. So it's like a copy trading system right now. It used to be just a trading cup, like legitimate trading cup, trading competition. But right now it's like a copy trading system. So the goal is to rank the best traders. But I'm gonna cut it all short for you. You'd find when you go to the website again, tradingcup.com/signals, you'd find like 5 out of top 10 of them would be named under Royal Mint. It's crazy because what we did is actually out of top 50, we have like 20 individuals in top 50. Because what we did is I asked all of the traders that are using Royal Mint. I'm like, hey, okay, you're not paying anything anyway. So this is just my request. Try to join this trading competition and blah, 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 right? We're going to use this and that. Use the name because anyway, Royal Mint is us. So
Like
they just use
Royal
the name.
Mint.
Yes.
I
So
got
you'd find a lot of people there that are Royal Mint. It's funny. Even actually the number one guy, the ranked number one guy here right now, it used to be that number two is number one, Royal Mint dash Aleli. But the number one guy here right now, Forex_pair, with a total gain of like 161%. This is also a student of Limitless PH. So 1 through 6 here is actually from the Philippines, which is, I'm really proud to say that. 5 of them were using Royal Mint, but number one is using a different system. But he's also from Limitless PH, but he's not using Royal Mint for this account. So he's not using the name Royal Mint, of course. I don't want to take the credit for that. But yeah, so yeah, they don't pay. Going back to your question, they don't pay anything to me. But if there's any, like for any other countries, like if you want to follow our Royal Mint, let's say you have another, well, obviously you still have to use my broker anyway. But yeah, just go to the website. Just go to the website. As long as you're using ACY Securities, at least right now, that's what I can say. And a certain deposit required, we can let you use the Royal Mint for free.
Okay, cool. And by the way, if 100 users use this system, it's not affecting the price, right? Because I mean, it's the
That's a
same
good
system.
question. That's a very good question. First of all,
It's kind of
it's not like we have like $10 million over here. You know what I mean? It's not like a hedge fund would see, or an institution would see our orders and they're gonna go against that. Number one, we don't have like $10 million. It's under $1 million for all of these 100 users. And number two, it's not always the same trades every time. So you would find that a trader that started, let's say, 2 months ahead of you would always sometimes have, well, not sometimes, but always have different set of open trades in his account than your account.
why?
Because,
I mean,
well,
if it's yeah,
it's something that we did. It's sort of an intellectual property for us, so I can't really discuss it in specific, but let's just put it this way. So we have different
got it.
ranking
No
systems,
problem.
right? We don't, so the ranking systems is normally based on your equity, meaning your balance plus your open trades minus or plus your open trades. So your equity and your account balance plus the trades that has been placed on your account.
So it's like a function. So it takes different parameters, for example, for exits and entries based on specific parameters.
Yes, depending on, number one, the balance in their account. Okay, let me just be clear about this. There would be more buckets. Let's say, so the minimum deposit required for Royal Mint to work is $1,000. But $1,000 would only have an opportunity with, let's say, 5 to 10 different currency pairs. Whereas you have a $10,000 account or a $50,000 account, you'd have more opportunity to more currency pairs. Why? So for example, if you have $1,000 account, we won't be opening any Japanese yen pairs trade to your account or any Swiss franc trades to your account, because these are the currency pairs that has been really volatile in the past 2 years, right? And sometimes your account may not be able to take it, right? Whereas
Yeah.
if you have a $10,000 account, and if you have like more than $10,000 account, it would open more opportunities, because we use grid trading strategies, right? Grid trading system. It's kind of equivalent to martingale, but it's not martingale. So grid, because martingale, as we all know, is a recipe for disaster. If you use martingale all the time, well, I've seen some traders who are successful with martingale, but if you just use martingale all the time and you just double down on your trades, eventually you're going to burn your account, no matter how huge your account is. You may have $1 million, but if you just keep your martingale open, eventually you're going to burn that, especially if the trend is against you. What we do is grid. It's a customized grid trading approach. Again, I can't be discussing the details
Yeah.
specifically,
Sure.
but
No
a
problem.
certain deposit in your account would have a different effect on the trades that will be open. That's why all of them would have different trades all the time, because they have different starting capital.
Yeah, cool. It's
That makes
fascinating. I
sense.
mean, the engineering behind this. I mean, the algorithm. Yeah, it's
That
fascinating.
was actually my math. The math behind this is my math. The algorithms, the patterns is from this programmer, but the math behind the systematic approach with the risk management is coming from me.
Yeah, that's incredible. So the last question I have to you is about discipline. How do you how do you how do you press sell? How do you long the trade, or how do you short the trade, and you simply wait the market to do its thing, even though you might lose
How do
when you
I?
sit in front of
Oh,
the
okay.
screen. If it's not
So,
if it's not an algo trading system.
so coping up with losses, right? So is it like a discipline in trading? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. How do you cope with that?
How do I cope with losses, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously losses are part of the process. It's easier said than done, and I have a lot of experience with this, firsthand and secondhand experience, because I teach students, right? So firsthand meaning my own personal experiences, and also from the point of view of a trading coach, where I see a lot of students really have a hard time with this. We always say you have to put emotions out of trading, right? Number one. And it's two ways. So let me answer your question in a more broad manner. So there's two ways here. So if you let your losing trades affect you, not only that would prevent you from trading again with the same strategy and doubting yourself, but that would also can affect you in a way that you become an you overtrade. So these types of losses, these types of experiences that we undergo, or every now and then, of course, we have losses. If you let that affect your trading or your mindset in trading, like what you said, first it's gonna affect you in terms of, like, you're gonna doubt your strategy now. How can I hit buy or sell if I see a certain setup that my strategy tells me to initiate, if I already lost a couple of trades with that same strategy? Right? So it's going to be hard for anyone to do that. And number two, again, because you've experienced some losses and you want to gain your losses back in a short amount of time, then you have a tendency to overtrade.
To revenge
So
to
revenge trade, right? Revenge trade.
to
So
revenge trading. Start revenge trading.
it's more about looking at focusing on the bigger picture for me. And this is what I always tell my students. Again. It's very easier said than done. It's very hard to follow through with this, because but I don't know. It's for me. It's just a process. I'm gonna be honest with you, Alan. For the first few years that I started a live account, there's been a few times I burned a couple of accounts, right? Because I've been over trading. The emotion was very hard for me to control. So I'm gonna say this: some people would hardened faster than me, probably. 3 months, maybe 3 to 6 months of trading would make them tough. For me, it took me more than a year. But it was all about the repetition. There's really no shortcut. We can talk about the mindset and all that, looking at the bigger picture, emphasizing long-term consistency over short-term gains and all that. These are mindset. I mean, these are just words that probably don't even mean nothing when you are already in the situation. So what did for me is what did it for me is basically the repetition. So I had to just do it over and over again. Make a lot of mistakes and then do it again, and make a lot of mistakes and then do it again. And then you learn your loss. I mean, you learn your lessons to a point where right now I'm always like I've become like a robot. I mean, not like a robot in terms of like I just don't think of any intuition or any emotional thing that can affect my trade during the trade.
Then the other side, to not be greedy. For example, if you win, you win, you win, you win the trade again, and you want to maybe place a trade with high risk, and then you lose it.
And let me say this though. Again, this is easier said than done, but I guess the main advice I would come up with right now: don't take anything personally. The
Yeah.
problem with many traders, and this is like professional life, right? If you're in with your career, you're going to your work, you hear something from your coworkers or your boss. You don't take that personally. Keep it professional. Same thing with trading. If you lost a couple of trades, don't take it personally. Nobody's going after you. Like, but the problem here is that many traders think that the market is after them. That when they trade and they hit the stop loss, they're going to be like, hey, there's a stop loss hunt, whatever. No, nobody cares about your trade, right? Like I said, as long as you have a proven strategy that's been working, that's been time tested, season tested, just keep on doing that strategy. No matter you win a lot of trades or you lose a lot of trades. You can win 10 consecutive days in a row without losses, and then the next 10 days you're gonna have losses. Or you can lose 10 consecutive days in a row, and the next month you have a lot of winners. So there's a reason why there's a strategy. There's a reason why there's a system. So don't take any losses personally. Just keep on, going back to what your algorithm tells you, to what your system tells you to do, and do that.
And when you start trading, should you just come up with a number for example, I seek, for example, $250 revenue a day? Or for example, if I lose 250 a day, I'm finished for the day. I'm waiting for the next day to continue. For example, where do you stop?
That is a very good question. But that's not how I trade though, because some traders. So first of all, like you have to come up with a percentage, not specific dollar amount, right? So let's say you want to target 0.5% profit per day, or you want to target 3% per month, or 5% per month, or 10% per month, then divide it into 22 or 20 trading days,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But it's not like the reason why I don't set my targets on a daily basis, because my strategies don't always show me an opportunity every day. Because my strategies is mostly in the swing side,
Mm.
intraday swing. So what if there's no opportunity that would present itself for me today and tomorrow?
Well, let's say a
If
week.
I So even if the whole week, you can be having losing trades in a week, and not make a lot of profits. So my goal is like a month, right? So 5% is my main target per month, and I divide that to. There's a certain way. Well, there's obviously a very simple calculation you can do. You divide that with the number of trading days, and then you use your equity, and stuff like that. What do you want to target, and certain percentage. All of these tools are available online for free anyway. So then you figure out how many trades do you need to make in a week. Let's say that would account for the losses as well. So let's say, for example, if I need to make 3% or 5% per month, then I have to make, let's say, on average, if my winning strategy, if my strategy is giving me like 75% winning rate, 25% losing rate, then if on average I'm trading 300 or 100, let's say 100 trades per month, then 75 of that would be winning, 25 of that would be losing, and then now you have to divide it on a weekly basis and stuff like that. Now, okay, so this is what I'm going to tell you guys about it. So this is what I do. I divide the target to my number of trades. So before I even come up with the number, you have to have been trading for a few months at least. So because your strategy, if you've been using your strategy and your trading approach, your trading discipline, if you've been doing that for a few months, you would already have a couple of trades that you can say your average number of trades in a month, which can be divided to certain number of trades in a day or certain number of trades in a week. And then that's what you have to use as your basis as to what position size you will have to open per trade for you to get 5%. And I'm making 75%. Am I making sense here? Right. So that has to be your average number of trades per month divided by the number of trading days over your equity and your target, and then your position sizing. So my position size per trade doesn't necessarily mean that I have to trade now or tomorrow, but every time I see an opportunity to trade, my position size would guarantee that if I just keep on doing it over and over, then I'd get to 3 to 5% per month.
Got it. Because you have the track record of the strategy, like a couple of months. Like already you have a track record of this specific strategy for a couple of months. Prior to that you started with real money or
yes, actually I have the formula, but there's a formula for that. I also made it up. I made up a formula because, like I said, we don't want. I'm the kind of trading coach that I don't want to force any trade, right? Me personally, I don't want to do that. So I don't want to force my traders to trade if there's no opportunity. So we're not going to base that. What we are adjusting is the lot sizing, depending on the average number of trades per month. That's it.
God. Hey, Tariq, really, thank you. Incredible insights. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for coming. For sure. And maybe episode number 2. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I guess I want to follow you on Spot. I think I followed you guys on Spotify already. Like that, you have a
Spotify,
Spotify
account, YouTube, right? Amazon Music. We have Apple Podcast, obviously,
right?
And okay, yeah. LinkedIn also.
LinkedIn.
Yep. Okay. So, thank you, Tariq. Really.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And like again, to those of you guys who want to follow our pages, we have social media pages. Limitless.
Oh, sure. I'll attach to the episode. No
problem. Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'll attach everything.
Thank you, Alan, and have a good day.